Mike Leach always presents a unique challenge. I figured that I spent just a little bit of time talking yesterday about the state's running game. Okay, they run it. They ran it really well against Arizona. Not as much, against Mississippi, against Memphis. They ran it pretty well. But let's the obvious thing, and I didn't talk about this yesterday. It's like, well, duh. State's got a really good passing game, in case you didn't know. Let me break some news here. 385 yards a game. Will Rogers has thrown the most touchdown passes of anybody in the Southeastern Conference. He's got a 9-2 touchdown interception ratio. He's averaging just under 8 yards an attempt. Okay, real good. So if you the point I was trying to make yesterday was that's all a given. Mississippi's Mike Leach teams will get their yards through the air come hell or high water, okay? When the season ends, you'll look up and the passing numbers will be there. You might get them in an individual game here or there. My point was that if they can run it too, then they become next to impossible to defend. But on the other side, you've got an LSU team that is still feeling their way offensively. And one of the things that Leach talked about was, having some difficulty kind of scouting LSU because, well, there's so much different personnel. But I wanted to start with the trip. They went out to Arizona last week, and the game ended just in front of 2 a.m. Central Time. I know because I stayed up and watched the whole thing because we were just done with postgame about 30 minutes before that. This was Leach talking about how it impacted their schedule when they got back.
Just made it a tougher schedule. Just, got in around 10, let everybody go do whatever they had to do until about 4, and then, go sleep or whatever till 4, and then it was kind of dinner and business as usual. So we pushed everything a little later.
I was surprised they did much of anything on Sunday. I figured that when they got in, he would just say, okay, you know what, we're going to scrap everything for the rest of the day. Maybe that's not possible with the way that they do things, but I do remember a trip that we took out to Long Beach with the LSU baseball team back in the early 2000s, and it required getting on a plane to leave New Orleans. You're flying commercial. I know states you're flying charter, but we got out of New Orleans at like 4:45 in the morning. So to get down there, the whole team kind of got there somewhere around 3:30, 3:45. We took off somewhere between 4:45 and 5 a.m., got out to California, and then coming back, had to take a red eye on Sunday night. Didn't leave L.A. until midnight. Got back to Baton Rouge at about, I would say, 8 or 9 in the morning. By the time we flew into New Orleans, got the time change and everything, and then got on the bus and got back to Baton Rouge. And I was worn out, but I was just the announcer, okay? The team was like, huh. And I remember Smoke coming, in the thing, and said, Coach, how you doing? He goes, we'll never do this again. If I were Mike Leach, I'd go in the athletic director's office and say, listen, I don't mind playing out on the West Coast, but I ain't coming home and playing a conference game the next week, okay? If I got to go out and play Arizona, then the next week I better be playing Abilene Christian in Starkville. There's no way. This is dumb scheduling on whoever in their athletic department does that. You don't go out and play a Power 5 team 2 time zones away, get back at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and then have to leave on Friday to go play a road game in your division. That's just bad planning. And I was surprised that he didn't just kind of, can everything on Sunday and go, okay, get off your feet, everybody go to sleep, get back together. So I don't know. They're young people. You guys are young people. How would you feel about getting back at 10 o'clock in the morning? I know how I would feel. It'd take me till about Wednesday to get right.
Yeah, still not ideal. Maybe a little easier for Taylor than for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it either. I took the day off when I got back from my bachelor trip like a week ago. I took the next day off of work because I needed a day to recover.
You probably were hydrating in a different manner than Mississippi State was. I'm just guessing.
Well, yeah, but, I still needed the recovery day.
No, I get it. And you're on a plane. You're not sleeping. I mean, not sleeping good. You're dozing off. But you're not resting. I don't know how much this is going to impact these guys. They're all very young people. They're in great shape, but I would not have done that. This is not going to be Mike Leach's first time facing Jaden Daniels, however. Daniels was at Arizona State in 2019 when Leach was at Wazoo, and it was a high-scoring game to, no kidding with Washington State out there. And Leach talked a little bit about the problems that Daniels caused.
Good player. He's a good player. We played him when he was at Arizona State. Can definitely help himself out with his feet, and his coverage breaks down and he throws it up. You can be in trouble if you don't keep track of him. So sometimes he gives you two things to keep track of.
Yeah, I'd say he had a good game. He threw for 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. He wasn't bad. Arizona State won that game 38-34. Whole different deal now. This is not Washington State's defense or offense. This isn't Arizona State's offense or defense. I just thought I'd throw that in there, that Daniels has seen Leach's defense, has seen Leach before, and lit him up like nobody's difference, like nobody's business. The LSU defense was something else that Leach talked about.
We have to identify it. We have to be good at identifying it. I thought, last year, we certainly could have won that game. We didn't. But, the biggest thing is react and respond to what they do. But, just keep executing what you do is the most important thing. So I think you want to identify it. You want to kind of pinpoint your package around what you think will be best. And then you, no matter what happens, execute. Whether you pick the perfect play or not, if you execute it, you still got a chance.
Could have won, probably should have won, if you want to know the truth. LSU won that game 28-25 last year. They had some long, what I would call flukish plays. The one to Trey Palmer in particular that went right at 60 yards and a touchdown was a little bit of a flukish play. The play to Cole Taylor that went for 41 yards and a touchdown was a pretty flukish play. And State outgained LSU pretty significantly. They had almost 500 yards of total offense, but they had a couple of key turnovers, a couple of, I would call them kind of flukish plays for LSU, and the Tigers got home with a win. But when he says they could have won the game, I would tell you that, if you take your purple and gold glasses off for a second, that Mississippi State should have won the game. And 2 years ago in Tiger Stadium, they did win the game and passed all over LSU like the defensive backs had just, come back from a nap. So I don't in any way subscribe to the idea this is a game that LSU should be favored to win, and that's why they're not. Vegas has got Mississippi State as a favorite, even though this game is in Tiger Stadium. But he's going to have to identify what LSU is doing differently defensively this year as opposed to last year. You got a whole new deal. Not at all disappointed to see LSU do all those different things with Harold Perkins last week. And that'll be at least things that State has seen on film. And I'm wondering if the young man may not have a role in the game on Saturday. Maybe some kind of specialized deal is like, hey, we're going to turn you loose here, because he's a real talent. Finally, Leach talked about trying to beat LSU for his team.
Well, they're kind of similar teams. They're kind of older too, so. Well, I guess we're kind of old on defense, and we're not very old on offense. We got some experience, but I think both teams are kind of similar that way. You just got to beat LSU because they're the next guy who's on the schedule, and they're all important, and you only get one of them a week, so give them all your full attention.
Teams aren't anything like each other. They are as different as purple and gold and maroon and white, as different as Baton Rouge and Starkville, as different as Kelly and Leach. They are in no way similar. LSU doesn't run anything close to what State runs on offense. State doesn't run anything close to what LSU runs on defense. They are in no ways similar. LSU is not an old team. They've got some upperclassmen, but a lot of them didn't start at LSU, and none of them have played for Brian Kelly the past 2 games. They both have experienced quarterbacks, but the experienced quarterback for Mississippi State has been within their system. the experienced quarterback for LSU got his experience somewhere else and is trying to work in with this system and is doing a terrific job, by the way. I guess it's just something you say because in no way are these teams similar. But Leach is always good for a chuckle or two.
He seemed a lot more excited at SEC Media Days.
There's a lot less pressure. At media days, there's no game to prepare for. You haven't lost any games yet. And at this point, they haven't lost any games either. I like to have been a fly on the wall when he went in the athletic director's office. Arizona? Then we got to go to LSU? Really? Are we trying to increase the degree of difficulty here?